All right, y'all, we are recording. This is our Grow series after conference. We're super excited to be here. I have spent the whole day up at our lake house and just working outside and hot and sweaty, and it's just, I love it. As we were saying right before we started recording, Tegan's like, because of Wild Tree, and yep. So we pay our house payment for the lake from my Wild Tree commission check. So it's pretty exciting to be able to do that. So that's where I am tonight, and my husband and kids are out on the Polaris, so they might come barging in the middle of our call, so just forgive that if that happens. How's everybody doing after conference? You guys just pumped up?
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Has everyone had a chance to talk to their upline about what their vision is? And then from—
Yes, and it was scary.
What was that, Stacy?
I said yes, and it was scary.
That's good. It has to give you that, like, I might throw up type of feeling, right?
Something like that.
That's good. That's good. So you get your vision, and then from there you're able to like set your goals of what you need to do. So hopefully you've gone from your vision and you've worked with your upline to set your goals. And if you haven't done that yet, that's really the first place to start. Okay. So think about that, and then think about a couple of things that you're super excited about in your business right now. Anyone want to shout out what they're super excited about?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
So I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined the Chamber of Commerce in my community, and I have my ribbon cutting tomorrow. So I'm super excited to share Wild Tree with all these people that I don't normally get to reach.
Yay!
That's awesome. So exciting.
I know, I'm so excited.
That's so cool.
So I've prepped 3 proteins and some vegetables, and I'm taking our heavenly chocolate mousse and filling it inside of strawberries.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm doing a pork tenderloin, some shrimp, and some chicken, so then they can try all these different things. And the best part is that it's all going to be gluten-free, and everything's going to be done in less than 30 minutes.
Awesome.
So I love it.
That's my woohoo.
Yes, I love it. I got my first app order today. Woohoo! As a
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you dance?
Yeah, I've been dancing all day long. All day long. Yeah, I was super excited. Anybody else want to throw one out there? All right. So I just want to give you kind of a broad overview of what this Grow series is about for those of you that are new and haven't joined us, and even for those of you that have. There's some new information that's upcoming, and so we want to make sure you're plugged into all these trainings. There's several new things, like I can't even list them all, so you'll just have to hop on or watch the recording. But really what we're trying to do is help everybody master the basics. So whether you're going for a senior executive director and want to surpass everybody in the company, or whether you're just wanting to do a couple parties a month, whatever it is that you're looking for, this series is for you, because we're just going to help you master those basics and just move forward and push forward. So with that said, anyone printed off, I posted today on the Grow Facebook page a report card, like Master the Basics report card. Has anyone had a chance to print that off and actually go through it yet?
It's terrifying.
Did you read through it, Stacy?
And I'm filling it out, and it makes me feel inadequate.
No, you just got to look at it as areas you can grow in. Because I think sometimes when we start this,
I know.
Yeah, we start it and think, oh, I can do this. I can ask friends to do this. I can, and you think it's just simple and easy, but it's very kind of strategic. And if you know the skills and we can teach you the skills to do it, it makes this business so much easier. So that report card is, I think, super important. And I think it's great to start this training with that report card and know where you are, and then just put it down And then after this series of trainings, go back and see what you've implemented and see where you've improved. And use that report card to check your business. Every 90 days, you can print that out and just say, where am I now? How have I grown? Where do I need to improve on? And I think the other directors that are sitting here with me, Kathy and Danielle and Tegan, I think all of us can say, or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I know that I have to use that report card because I'll get really good at something, but then I just fall off for whatever reason. And I'm like, why am I struggling here? And if I get out that report card and kind of go through it one by one, I can usually pinpoint exactly where I need help. And that's when you go to your upline and be like, okay, I'm stuck. I need help here. Okay. So that report card, I think, is key. And by using that, you should be able to say, hey, I'm really good at this, or I'm pretty good at this area. And then you might have a couple areas where like, wow, I really need some help in. So and that goes for all of us. So hopefully you take some time to do that. I really think it'll be eye-opening, like Stacy was kind of sharing, and just really important that you guys do that. Do you guys have any questions on that report card?
And you know what, with this report card too, guys, I would even say like, you could do like a never, sometimes, always, like a NSA scale, or like a 0 to 10 scale on your answers to kind of rate yourself. Because if you're just solely like checking the ones that you are mastered in or that you are doing, you might get a little discouraged, like, oh, I'm really not doing a whole lot. But if you look at it on a scale factor, you're doing a whole lot more than you think you are. And some of them you're a lot better than you think you are in. So maybe use that never, always, somewhat, sometimes, or that 0 to 10 scale on there. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great point. Totally agree. All right, so who do we have on tonight and that's listening on playback that's going for leader in the next 90 days? Or that's going for director in the next 90 days? Because I see some team leaders on here too. Okay, so you guys, I want you to really pay attention. I want you to use your workbook. I want you to go through the homework, the steps, because you guys, if you follow what we're telling you to do, you are going to get there no problem. Okay, so I just want you guys to all be aware of that. So tonight, we're gonna focus next on bookings. So who's mastered bookings? Who's awesome at bookings? Kathy McCool, raise your hand. Yeah.
Halfway raised here.
I know, she's like sort of whatever. So Kathy's usually booked like 8 to 10 parties for 2 to 3 months out of that. Is that about right, Kathy? Yeah, yeah. So she's got her schedule full. And now maybe you don't want to do 8 to 10 parties a month, but she books those 10 parties because she wants to hold at least 8, so she accounts for those cancellations. And so if you want to do 4 parties, then you need to be booking 6. So whatever that goal is that you've set up with your team leader, you need to book a couple more than that to count for those postpones and cancellations. And I mean, my calendar for July, you guys, fell apart. And I had like 8 bookings and went down to 3. And so it just happens sometimes, especially in the summer. But you know, you just get on the phone and we'll talk about that and you just keep going. So setting up your calendar, I want to talk to you about that first. I'm going to show you guys what I do. I'm going to hold this up. It's kind of messy, but you guys can see the ones where I have highlighted are the dates that I can work. And during the summer, it usually means I'm actually in Kansas City and in town. So here's September. So you guys can see that. So when I'm at a party, I'm always offering my next 3 dates that I have available. That's where I'm trying to get them to go. I want to book them as soon as possible. So I want to make sure that you guys have some sort of open date card. Kathy, I know you use some sort of, you print off something like Print My Calendar maybe. It's a free online.
Yeah, I do that for my open dates, and then I have a list of my closest dates that I try to fill first.
Okay. Okay. So be sure that you guys have those open dates. And again, you're basing that off when do you want to work and what are your goals? So I'm always looking at what's my family schedule, and I'm working around that. And then how many parties do I want to do a month? And so I'm booking based off that. If you're booking off like what income do you want for the month? Okay, work with your upline leader to figure out how many parties do I have to make $1,000 a month? What does that look like? Okay, does that make sense, you guys? And you guys, a lot of people, well, I don't know, maybe you guys have a lot of extra time. I don't really have extra time. So if I don't plan like this ahead of time for 2 months out, I could fill every night with other things. So I really have to plan out, when am I going to work Wild Tree? Because if I don't do this, I won't work Wild Tree. I mean, and that's just the basics of it. You make time for what's the priority, and that's how I have to schedule mine. So I just really encourage you guys to have a calendar like that you're using on a regular basis, and you know what your next couple dates are that you want to fill up. Okay. Let's talk about how you're going to fill those dates. So you have to get in front of enough people. And I kind of use the scale of, for every 10 people that I ask to have a party, one of them will have a party. So if you're getting in front of 8 people once a month, you may not get a booking for the next month. You really have to be in front of talking to at least 10 people. And that's just kind of what I use. And I really feel like the best place to book a party is at my party, because I am in front of them. I have their full attention. They don't have kids coming at them from every angle and their husband needing something else on the phone, or they're at work or whatever. At the party, at my Wild Tree party, they are all there and they are all in and they're paying attention and they're excited about what they're doing, and they're excited that they're going to walk out of there with 10 meals. And that is where you're going to get your most bookings. So at the party. Other places, for sure, sitting at the soccer fields, talking to people, sitting at the park, running into people at the store. I've booked a party at Costco before in the frozen food aisle. I mean, you can do it anywhere as long as you are sharing and talking about Wild Tree. So any other comments on that? You got to ask. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think I shared this last time, but I did a trial and error to see what would happen. But for a whole month, I did not ask for a booking at my parties. And within 3 months, I was completely out of bookings and had to start over, had to restart my entire business because I did not ask. And I was just trying to prove a point to my team of what would happen if you don't ask for bookings. So you have to ask people. Another way to get them is referrals. So they talked about this at conference, is asking, hey, who do you know that's busy and needs healthy, quick meals? Ask people for referrals. Okay. And then the next thing I want to talk about is when you are talking to those people, how do you get them to book? What do you say? And I remember at my very first freezer meal workshop, when I really started working my business, I said there was 3 people there. And from those 3 people, within 6 months is when I promoted to director. So this is all it takes, 3 people, 1 workshop. And I created a sense of urgency for them. I said things like, you guys, these workshops are so awesome. People love them. People are wanting to do this. I'm booking up really quickly. Okay. Even though I only had 3 people, but in my head, I was like, I am going to book up quickly. I know people are going to love this. This is going to be awesome. And so that's what I said. And from that party, I got 2 bookings and a rep. Okay. But I think creating that sense of urgency and really telling them, like, you're going to want to get in my calendar. I booked 2 to 3 months out. I'm almost out of dates for this month. Whatever it is that you feel comfortable saying to create that sense of urgency. The other one I get is well, let me go home and try my meals. That's an objective I get at my parties all the time. Let me go home and try my meals. And to that, I normally say, okay, so we have 3 options. Like, you can go home and try your meals. That's great. My dates are going to fill fast, so I may not get you in for another 3 to 4 months. So that's pretty far out. But that's an option we could do. Another option would be we just go ahead and book the date right now and just go for it and get your friends there. They're going to love it. You're going to love it. I do these all the time. This is what it's all about. Let's just go. And then another option could be, let's date it. You go home and taste your meals, and then let's talk next week and see, does this date still work for you? Okay. The real goal that you want to do is get something penciled in when you are talking to them in person. Okay. That is the goal. Something penciled in. So I had a workshop the other night that had 3 people there. And when I walked into that, they're all beauty counter reps too. So when I walked into that party, I was like, well, probably won't get a rep, but possibly. But I was like, I am not leaving this party with less than 2 bookings. And I walked out of there with 3 because the hostess decided she would try again in October. So I was like, that was my goal for the night, and all 3 of them booked a party. So you really have to get them to pencil something in. And at that, so one of the girls was like, I don't know my schedule, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no problem. I was like, let's just pencil something in. Let's talk in 2 weeks when you get your soccer schedule. And if it doesn't work, we'll change the date. Okay. So that's another way that I said it to her. And she's like, oh, okay, that sounds good. So we penciled something in, but I know I need to confirm that with her because the date might change. So do you guys have anything else on how to get people really to like book? Any objectives you might hear that you guys want to share?
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm military. My husband's active duty Air Force. Therefore, where we live, there's no family whatsoever. And I've got an aunt who found out very late in life that she has celiac disease, and it almost took her life. And now her son has it as well. So, of course, they had to change their whole dynamic of eating and everything that they wanted to shift up. So my question is not just the live bookings, but a good majority, since I was born and raised in Colorado and my husband was born and raised in Texas, have to be remote workshops. So have you experienced that and had a lot of that? Because that's going to be a lot of FaceTime workshops, a lot of, because I'm not going to be hopping on a plane or driving 14 hours to do workshops all the time. Yeah. But like, I just went to my first one recently. I thought it was going to be the stupidest thing I ever went to. I tried to back out the same day, but she lives on the street behind me and she wouldn't let me do it. Made my child prep my bags because I was like, I don't have time for this. There's too much going on. So he went with me to the party, prepped my bags, put all this stuff in it. And I was like, I'm not going to book because I need to make sure it doesn't taste like cardboard. And so we brought it home, and even my 2-year-old eats it. Like, they all eat it, which was crazy. So that's why I tell everybody, I'm like, oh, it's okay. You think it's stupid because I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard of in the world. Who does that? And so then I signed up for it, but I didn't know, with it being school time, as soon as I mentioned it, like, I already have 3. I was supposed to like sign up like a week or 2 ago, and life got away. So I did it last night, but I already have 3 parties, 3 workshops, 1 remote, 2 live. And so, but I'm going to have extra remotes because I want them to grow those remote ones. And that's where it gets tricky because they're just going to look at me like this. I won't be there live with them. So I don't know if you guys do a lot of those or if you have anybody that's had to do a lot of those, but the majority of mine are probably going to be that way, especially with my aunt who's got the celiac issues and any of her friends that have that going from there.
So I've done 2 Facebook parties in the last 2 weeks. And they've gone great. And our national team just launched everything you need to do Facebook parties. So if you go into the MRC, there's a lot of background noise. Can you guys hear that? So if you can mute if you're moving things around, that'd be great. So they just launched that. If you go in the MRC under 2017 conference, it has everything you need to do to actually do a Facebook party. It has all the images and all the verbiage that you would need. And I actually got 2 bookings, and I think I have 3 reps from my 2 Facebook parties in the last 10 days or so. Tegan, do you want to talk into that anymore? Tegan's on the social media committee.
Yeah, and let me just specify, Christina, are you talking about doing like Zoom workshops like this, like where you're videoing people and they're hosting a workshop?
Yeah, I just think it will go over better other than just seeing photos, so that way they have that live interaction and someone that's actually talking to them and them not just looking at a piece of paper and having nobody to ask questions to.
Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to clarify if you were talking about Facebook parties or live workshops.
Live parties. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I've done several of those, and I've had really, really awesome success with them. I just treat my hostess exactly like I would an in-person hostess. I normally send her a hostess package in the mail, and it has like just fun things in it, like one of our make fresh dinner flyers for the month. However many people she thinks will be there, I have that many catalogs sent to her. I also do the samples and send samples, a handwritten thank you note, some of my business cards, which now you could do referral cards for the app as well. And then anything else you feel pertinent, like a business builder kit flyer, just put a little package together for her and send it to her. And then as far as the video piece, I would highly recommend that you test it with her first to make sure the connection is strong, whether that be a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or FaceTime. And then just call in for the first 5 minutes, introduce yourself, give a really brief demo overview, and then kind of a run through of what they'll be doing tonight. And check back in. You could either check back in halfway through by just texting your hostess, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Like send her a fun image of you being like checking in. And then I always dial back in via video at the end to kind of cap everybody out. My hostess will text me at like bag 8-ish, and I'll call back in then. But I think the cool part about that is that gives you a huge opportunity for team building in that area. So we can definitely talk more about that. That will be on a separate call as well during this Grow series. But when you have any type of workshop or tasting event that you are not local to, it actually is kind of a shoe-in. I think all 3, maybe even that 4th one of mine, have had reps planted at each one of those locations. So Reno, Virginia, one in Kansas City. So yeah, 3 of the 4 have reps. So I think that's a really unique opportunity too. So I think that's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, well, because I figured, I had to make my mom be the person that was going to do something for me, because I was like, you have to. You have no choice. But they're all remote. And she was like, I was like, I know you think it's stupid just like I did. I was like, but just wait until you do it. And so she was dragging my aunt and everybody into it. And that's when I was like, well, I want to make sure that they're getting the max or they'll not want to do it. So, and I'm not on the street behind them to drag them over and make them show up at the house and do all that. So I was just curious how you guys did that and if it was successful.
Yeah, for sure. And to keep in line with the booking conversation tonight, something that you can do on those calls too is obviously have that conversation with your hostess ahead of time if your hostess is interested in joining. And if she's not, ask someone in the room, or ask your hostess essentially to identify someone who's coming who she thinks would be amazing at what we do, and just kind of call them out and say, hey, Sally, I hear that you would be incredible at this. Like, what do you think? If Sally joined, who would host for Sally? Or, if it was your hostess who was interested, if Susan joined, who would host for Susan? And if 3 people in the room raise their hands, then you're saying, okay, girls, like Mary, Alice, and Lucy, like, let's pick your dates tonight. All of you, get out your calendars, and I'm going to dial back in at the end, be thinking of when you want to host and who you're excited about inviting. And we'll pick dates at the end. Sound good? And everyone's like, pretty excited about it because in most areas it's new. So it gets them amped up about like who's booking next and who they can invite. And so you're planting those seeds. So they're thinking the whole night of who can they introduce Wild Tree to? Who do they think will find value in what Wild Tree has to offer? So you're almost, if you can identify a rep, especially if it's your hostess, you're setting her up with bookings that can happen in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great points.
Yeah, that is good. Sorry, my son's in my way. Stop. Go. No.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know he's a mess. Yeah, that is really good. Did you find? I guess my next question on bookings. I've got a lot of teachers because I thought that was a great market to corner since school's just getting ready to start, and I'm friends with a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever like approached them? Like I know a lot of the principals to do like a. They always get together and do like things at the school or after hours, like to do like a big, huge one with a whole bunch of them coming and doing a prep, or do you think it's better if you keep it just smaller? Because I've got so many of them. They're all friends and there's a bunch of them interested. And I thought, oh, well, we could just make one big night and just have a whole bunch of them. And I have like another rep there with me and we tackle a big group of them and they all walk away with a bunch of meals and then book from there. So have you guys, has anyone ever done like a big huge group?
I think you can go either way on those. Like I've done some of those, and as long as you have one person who's kind of the host or kind of in charge who can be your go-between, I think it's really helpful. And so the bigger what I have found in my experience is the bigger the group, the less one-on-one time I really get with them, where I can really connect and build a relationship with them to move them forward in their next step with Wild Tree. So I've done parties with 22 people. And Kathy might be able to talk about this too, because I know she's done some huge parties before. And I've just found that those, like with 22 people there, it was just, it was hard for me to really build a good relationship with each person because there were just so many. Mm-hmm. So I found with like 8 to 12, I can build a really good relationship and move each person forward in their journey with Wild Tree, whatever that looks like for them. Some are great customers, but some are hostesses and some are, reps. And I just feel like I have more time to build that community and that relationship with them. Kathy, do you want to add anything to that from your perspective of doing like a huge workshop?
Yeah, so I want it the bigger the better, but for many reasons. But I think I've worked really hard on mastering working with people in a timely manner at large workshops, and that takes time to develop. But that's one of the reasons why in my demo at conference, I actually, as you saw, I start my conversations after they get to bag 2. So that's one of the reasons why, so that I could tailor to those big parties and still spend, 10 minutes with each person at least. I did the same thing last night. I think I had 12 or 14. And some people I even spent 30 minutes with. So I was able to get through everybody and everybody had time. So you just have to start sooner and just talk to people individually that way. And then maybe arrange phone calls if you can't touch everybody and arrange, go through everything that they need, just arrange a phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. See, there you go. Kathy had the answer for that one. The other thought you can do is offer 2 times for a party. So depending on how many people, you could say, we're doing one workshop this day and one workshop this day, and that might include more people will be able to go. So if it's a huge group, So.
Yeah, I already had to divide my first one in half and make it 2 because I had so many who said, I want to do it, but I don't want to host it. And I was like, well, then I'll do it. You can host it and I'll let it be at my house because they didn't want it at their house. And then there was too many responding on that one that I had to split it in half and throw another one in there because they weren't all going to fit in here.
Awesome. That's exciting.
If it stays that way, I've done Plexus and all these other things. And so I'm like, if it stays that way, but this is something I think people use more.
Yep. They'll use it over and over again for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the last thing I want to kind of touch on tonight on bookings is just the most important thing that you can do to get the bookings. And that is you have to ask. And I kind of talked about that, but when you ask, you have to do it with confidence. Because if you go in and you're like, hey, would you want to do a party for me sometime? That's not as confident as saying something of, hey, when are you going to get your friends together and do this? It's going to be so fun. We'll have a great night. And like, just think about your energy that you're bringing in when you're talking to people about hosting, having parties, having their friends over. Just be very confident in that and saying like, hey, I do this all the time. I'll help you out. I'm going to do all the work. I'm going to do the invitations. All you need to do is ask your friends and invite them. That's what I tell my hostesses all the time. They're like, oh, okay, great. And they just go on with it. Cause I think I'm confident in when I ask them. So you have to ask and you have to be confident. So the other thing I want to just point out on bookings, on that I just posted right before this call a Grow workbook, and just look at page 1 because we're still making lots of changes and tweaks to it. But page 1 is all about tonight, your vision and about bookings, and then we have a ton of information and just steps, your next steps to take from between now and the next call on Thursday. So I think it's really important to kind of walk through there and just see what those are. We even give you words to use when you're talking to people about booking. So it's just really, really great information in that workbook. So be sure to print off that first page only right now and use that between now and the next call. Okay? So has anyone figured out how many bookings they're trying to get in the next 4 to 6 weeks? Oh, Jessie's got 10 she's trying to get. That's her goal. Awesome. That's where I'm at too, Jessie, 10. And I've got 5 booked. Who else?
I want 10 more.
10 more. Awesome.
Between August and September.
Okay. Anyone else?
I want 10 more too.
Who said that?
Cat.
Awesome.
8.
8. Very good, very good. All right, well, your goal between now and next week when we meet Thursday night at 8:30 is to get at least 2 more bookings. So how many people are you going to have to ask to get 2 bookings?
20.
At least 20. You have to ask. Good, good. So if you want 10 bookings before next Thursday, how many people do you need to ask?
100.
100. So being in front of 100 people. So figure out what that looks like. You know, you're in front of X number at your parties, and then everyone else you're running into at the soccer game and the grocery store, wherever you meet people, wherever that is, get in front of those people. Awesome. Kathy or Tegan, you guys have anything else to add tonight?
Nope, I love it. But let's just do a really good job of rallying around each other and posting on that Grow series page. And we'll do like a booking post so you guys can comment below when you have them. And maybe we'll do a fun little prize for those who participate and comment with their bookings. So like every time you get a booking, post with some excitement every single time.
All right.
That sounds fun.
Can the directors win too?
Yes.
We're gonna
Of
go,
course.
Yeah. Awesome. I love a little competition.
Hey, Annie, do you think it'd be valuable if I posted my hosting videos that I've been doing the last 5 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, booking videos,
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yep. Yeah, in the last newsletter that the directors did together, I think everyone here gets that newsletter. The last one we did was on bookings, and Kathy led it, and she did some quick videos, just step-by-step of bookings. So she's going to post those onto the Grow series. So it'll go along great with this. Yeah, perfect. All right, y'all. Well, good night. Get on the phones, get to your parties, be confident, and ask for those parties and bookings. And we'll see you next Thursday night at 8:30 Central Time.
Woo-hoo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.